Hey everybody, this is Sean Sundell, and in today's video we're going to discuss two major topics. The first topic is how many private investigators are in the state of California. The second topic we're going to discuss is how many private security companies are in the state of California. Now, in California, the proper term for the owner of a private security company, or the proper term for a private security company, is called private patrol operator, also known as PPO. Now, if you don't know already, I'm the author of two books, The California Legal Investigator. This is a book that is commonly used as a study guide to pass the California Private Investigator exam. Not only does this book help you pass the California Private Investigator exam, it also helps you understand how to manage a private investigator company. So it's called the California Legal Investigator. It's used as a study guide for the California Private Investigator Qualified Manager exam. And in California, there's only one exam for private investigator, and that's Qualified Manager. That's the name of the exam. It's called the California Private Investigator Qualified Manager exam. The second book that I have published is called The Private Patrol Operator. Private Patrol Operator. This book not only will help you pass the Private Patrol Operator Qualified Manager exam in the state of California, this book also shows you how to manage a private security company in the state of California. So I'm the author of both of these books. These books are available on Amazon.com. They are dated several years ago back, between 3 and 4 years ago. They are current for the 2001 Qualified Manager exams. They're published a bit back in time, but they still help people pass. And just to show you a show of transparency, in all my videos you're able to comment whether you believe you are ripped off or whether you believe that the products that Amazon offers on my behalf are worth your money. Well, you can go on Amazon or any place where these books are sold, and I have almost great reviews. Whoever posts a negative review, they usually do not post why it's negative, but mostly everything is positive. I think I have about 74 positive reviews on Amazon for the California Legal Investigator, and for Private Patrol Operator I have about, I think, 44 45 positive reviews. Now, if you purchase any of these books and you feel like they help you out, please post a positive review. I really appreciate that. So let's move a little bit forward here. In today's video, we're going to concentrate on the numbers of Private Patrol Operator and private investigators in the state of California. And we're also going to talk about other licenses that are available under the Bureau of Security Investigative Services, also known as BSIS, their leadership. There are several licenses, it's not just these two. And why is that important? Well, if you know how many security guards are under these under certain licenses, you will know what your applicant pool is more or less, and you also get to know what your competition is like. So let's move forward. So on the right is the annual report for the Department of Consumer Affairs. Every year, the Department of Consumer Affairs publishes an annual report based on their progress, and they publish the number of licensees that are under the Bureau of Security Investigative Services, as well as Department of Consumer Affairs. Now, you can go back, I think it's about 12 years or 14 years back, and that's what I did here. Now, not all annual reports have the same information, but they've been pretty consistent for the last 5 to 7 years. The information that's available is so consistent, I'm able to actually show you on a chart what the numbers are. So the bottom right is the link that you would type into the address bar if you want to land on the Department of Consumer Affairs data portal, so you can fact check the information that I'm giving to you. So in 2001, there are 309,048 active licensees. And I will show you what licensees we are referring to. Excuse me. There's 292,883 security guard registrants in the state of California. Mind you, that doesn't mean that's your applicant pool. It just means that that's a big portion of your applicant pool, but not all guards choose to work under a private security employer. Some of them use it as a backup plan. Myself, right now I'm just using the guard card as a backup plan just in case something happens with my full-time teaching, well, law enforcement career and part-time teaching at the police academy career. I have a backup plan. There's 8,329 private investigator licensees, and there's 2,477 private patrol operators, and there are 2,174 locksmith licenses. For the ACO, also known as the alarm company operator, there's 1,810. For proprietary security employer, there's only 607, and I think the number is so low because there's a lack of education out there. A lot of these major retailers, they don't understand that once you put a uniformed security officer out there, the employer needs to have a proprietary security employer license, and the guard force has to have proprietary security officer license, okay, or a guard card would also suffice. There's 336 firearm training facilities. Hey, you guys that are firearm instructors out there, especially those of you who are law enforcement firearm instructors, you can easily get your BSIS firearm instructor license, and once you have that license, you can form a firearm training facility, or you could find somebody that has a firearm training facility license, also known as a TFF, and work under their license if you want. Repossession agencies, there's 268. I would anticipate that once a lot of these stimulus checks stop coming in, there's a good opportunity for a repossession agency license. Okay, they're also known as the RA. If you ever seen a repo truck on the back or the sides, they'll have a sign or a logo that says RA, and then it has the RA number on it. That's for a repossession agency. Baton training facility, there's only 164. The numbers are actually dwindling, and this year is a year where they're developing legislation that will make it mandatory for those of you who have a baton license to requalify every year. So before it was the whole lifetime, 30, 40 year lifetime, you don't have to renew anything, but pretty soon guards are going to have to recertify with their baton permit if these laws pass, okay? So those of you who have a baton training facility license, expect more clients, more consumers. Those of you who have not opened one, I think this year might be a good opportunity to begin your baton training facility license. This is the Department of Consumer Affairs annual report for private patrol operator. This is the number of licenses for each year. So what I did is I collected 2020, 19, 18, 17, 16. 15 isn't there because the way that the annual report for 2015, how it is published, it's not consistent with the other licenses. With the other annual reports, and there's some information in there that just threw the numbers off. I don't believe that they were accurate, so I left it out. But you can always fact check what I'm telling you by going to the Department of Consumer Affairs annual report and looking for 2015. Again, I have nothing to hide here, but the numbers are not consistent, and I felt that there's no need to mention what happened or what the numbers are because I don't believe that they were accurate. So I covered a good 5 years, okay, the last 5 years, and then I went back to 2014, 13, and 12 just to show you the progress that we're making, or maybe lack of progress, depending on what your opinion is. So as you see right now, well, not right now, but in 2020, we have 2,477 private patrol operators, and we have 269 inspections. And what I found is usually when you have a year of a lot of inspections, you have less licensees. A lot of licensees will surrender, or a good number of them will surrender their private patrol operator license because they can't comply with the mandates of the inspection. So 2019, we had 2,418, 2018, 2,403, 2017, 2,348 licenses, and then 2014, we had a record low of 2,137 licensees. But look to the right column, we had 138 inspections. So that was an inspection year. The numbers are going to drop. 2013, we actually had the most private patrol operators. We had 2,765, and we only had 61 inspections. So again, I think when we have a high inspection year, we tend to lose more licensees. 2012, 2,735. We had a lot of inspections, 325 inspections. So under my theory, we would have had less licensees, right? Which doesn't really make sense. So maybe in 2012, the enforcement wasn't as heavy. Maybe there was more enforcement in 2014, because just because of an inspection, that doesn't mean that BSIS is going to follow through with any enforcement actions. Okay, maybe it was just an advisory. Maybe, hey, just fix this, fix that, and maybe perhaps no citations was issued. Nothing was forwarded to the Attorney General. But it definitely looks like 2014 was a heavy enforcement year, and this is what my thoughts are. So in the Private Patrol Operator, this book, I talked about how beginning effective 2015 that every private patrol operator had to have a insurance policy for commercial liability protection. Okay, and you guys seen how much these policies cost. You're looking at close to $4,000 for a basic policy. Okay, maybe $3,800, but close to $4,000. A lot of private patrol operators at that time could not afford that. That's an expense that may have been unexpected, and usually what a lot of these one-person shop private patrol operators would do is, once they get the contracts coming, once the revenue was coming in, they would purchase insurance, just to save the company. Now remember, when you had an armed guard, you always had the insurance, but in 2015, it doesn't matter if you're armed or unarmed. You need to have insurance, and you need to provide that proof to the state of California. So I think that's what happened in 2015, but 2014, I think just because of the massive number of inspections, I mean, you went from 61 inspections to 138 inspections. Many licensees started surrendering their licenses, closing shop. But at the same time, they probably realized that in that year, 2014, they need to have insurance. And again, obviously, there's probably a significant number of private patrol operators that didn't have insurance and didn't feel that it was necessary to have, the unarmed companies. So that's what I think happened, is that they may have surrendered a lot of their licenses, and then shooting to 2015 when the law was active. I think that's one of the reasons why we had that drop. But it began in 2014, because 2014, that's when the licensees became aware of the new law that was coming up in 2015. That's just my hypothesis. I could be wrong, but definitely study these numbers. This is your competition. And when you compare private patrol operator licenses to private investigator licenses, PPOs, the numbers for PPOs tend to show how many are actively in business. They're competing with other companies, because you're not going to pay $750 or $800, $850 for renewal fees if you don't have a security company going at all. Okay, that's a huge expense, and then you're not going to pay the insurance. That could be easy, $300 a month, $400 a month, which amounts to close to $4,000 a month for a basic policy. You're not going to just pay that if you don't have your actual company on your wheels, moving, getting clients. So that's your competition, you guys. It's about 2,477. Okay, I anticipate in 2021 the numbers are gonna, the annual reports are gonna show that there's probably more inspections, because we're slowly getting off of COVID. Okay, and also 2020 is 2019 is a year where there's a changing of the guard. So we got a new BSIS chief, Lynn Andres, I believe is her name. 2019, whenever you get a new BSIS chief, they have to show the director of consumer affairs and all their constituents and the governor that they are heavy on enforcement, and that's how it usually works. And first year or two into office, they're doing they're mandating their staff to do heavy inspections. Okay, so that's why we have so many in 2020. Okay, let's discuss private investigators. So our annual report tells us that in 2020 we had 8,329 licensees, and that is a record low number. Just look at all the numbers: 2019, 18, 17, 16. We're skipping 15, 14, 13, and 12. Again, we're skipping 15 because the numbers, it just seemed like the numbers were not accurate that was provided. The information that was provided also did not appear to be accurate. So I'm not going to publish it. You can fact check what I'm saying and look up that year under the DCA annual reports. By all means, go ahead and do that. But we had less. And then if you look at 2012, we had almost 10,000 private investigators. So what could be happening? Now, on the right, you see the total inspections of all licensees. Private investigator companies rarely are inspected unless somebody complains. And the private investigation industry is more self-regulating, in my opinion, than the private patrol operator industry. And that's because we have CALI, the California Association of Legal Investigators, that tends to regulate our own industry. So they have a board within CALI that investigates unlicensed activity. Okay, and they forward their findings to BSIS, the Enforcement Division, and from there, BSIS takes enforcement action depending on the nature. But private investigators, they tend to regulate themselves. Nobody likes to see an unlicensed private investigator taking clients from themselves when they work hard for their license. Okay, but we're definitely dwindling in numbers. And what can happen? Well, my thesis is this: I think during 2012, 13, and 14, I think we had a record number of maybe people that stopped retiring. The numbers, I think 2011, 2010, maybe before that, we had a lot of law enforcement agencies and public agencies that were retiring their officers. I think during those years, I think those who were in law enforcement probably said, hey, I had enough. I mean, with all this politics and politicians preventing us from doing our job, we had enough, and we're out of here. Okay, we don't want any more anything to do with law enforcement. And 50% of the readers from my book, The California Legal Investigator, about 50% are prior law enforcement or prior public agency investigators. Okay, now what are other reasons for the numbers dwindling? I also believe because there's a lack of education. So maybe in the background investigation industry, you have somebody that may have known a police chief or sheriff retiring. Hey, buddy, I'm going to be retiring this year. Can you hook me up with some work? And basically, the request for proposal might be tailored to the chief of police or sheriff's or commander's buddy's experience that may have been very, very limited when you compare that to other applicant pools. So perhaps maybe you have to be in charge of a background investigation unit. It's kind of hard to find people that have that experience, or have people that have been assigned to a background investigation unit at a law enforcement agency, maybe in the area. Okay, but that's what I've seen, how sometimes it works with the smaller agencies, and yeah, sometimes the large agencies. Again, the captain commander has a buddy retiring, and they tend to hook up their friends, and then when the hookup, so the commander, the chief, or sheriff retires, I've seen where they go work for the company where they hook their friend up. Now, is this something that is unethic? I believe so, but on another note, you tend to want to hire people who you have worked with in the past, and you like the work ethic. So there's two sides to that. I don't vouch for any side at all. You guys out there, you make your own decisions, okay? And it could also be maybe private investigators, when they're retiring from public agencies or law enforcement agencies, maybe they're not just interested anymore. They want out. Okay, they want to just get into something that has nothing to do with investigations. That could be also a thing. Again, right now there's a battle, a war, a political war against law enforcement, and maybe perhaps those that are retiring want nothing to do with investigations as well. Now the other half, they come from the insurance industry. Maybe they work for attorneys, and what might be happening is you have a lot of in-house employers or employers that are just hiring in-house, and they're not requiring that private investigator license, because generally you do not need a private investigator license if you're the employer and this person only works for you. Okay, as an employee, there's an employee-employer relationship. Okay, again, I don't think that inspections have anything to do with the numbers are going down with private investigators. I just think that this is just how it is this year. Again, people don't want to be investigators anymore. They want to do something else. And I think that there's a lack of education. A lot of private investigators that are working in an unlicensed capacity, they don't know that they need a private investigator license. Sometimes their buddy will hire them, pay them under the table. There's really little regulation for unlicensed private investigators who are working for a licensed private investigator. Now, if you're obviously unlicensed, you're not working under somebody. They're not gonna. I mean, there's going to be more other private investigators that are going to complain about you. Okay, so this concludes my presentation. I wanted to make a redaction. The 2020 census for the guards, the private investigators, the private patrol operators, that's the 2020 census. So I said 2021, it's 2020. So I apologize for that inconvenience. Just something I just realized right now while I'm making this video. So come 2022, there'll be a 2021 census. Those of you who want to be private investigators, don't let this 8,000 or 9,000 private investigator number discourage you. You guys, there's plenty of work out there. There's so much work out there. I keep getting calls every week for work. It just depends on how you market yourself. I think it's a good idea to always keep your private investigator license just open, even if you're not accepting cases. It's only a couple $100 every couple of years. Okay, that's it. And for the most part, if you just get one case, depending on the case, that'll pay for 2 years or 3 years of your license, or even more. So it's definitely worth it. If you are somebody who wants to open up your private security company in California, don't let the numbers discourage you for private patrol operators. There is a lot of competition, but it just depends on how you market yourself. Okay, open up that network with other people that are like-minded with you, and those clients should be coming in. So hope this video helps. You guys like, subscribe, comment if you have any other questions, and you guys all take care.